Hello everybody, JG Crafter here, and today I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on the announcement of Songs of War's cancellation. As you know, if you do know, I created a reaction series for the entire Songs of War franchise. I've made several videos on it, such as the reacting to the Songs of War movie, reacting to literally every single episode, and literally trying to basically say, this series, if it doesn't continue, I'd be really pissed. And the minute I heard this announcement, my thoughts were a bit more strange, because I actually woke up to it, because Blockbuster Studios seems to release stuff when I'm asleep, so I woke up to this, and my first thought was, what? Wait, what? And thought, okay, there must be a good reason to why Arbiter is doing this. And so I simply just relaxed a bit more, then decided to finally sit down and listen to the video itself. After listening to the video, however, I have way different thoughts. Because when I started watching the video, my only thought was, okay, Arbiter probably has a good reason to stop this series, this beyond incredible series, and I was completely wrong. He gave the most ridiculously stupid, dumb answer I'd ever heard. And it's not really all his fault either. It's mainly because after going through this myself about what he said, it just really annoyed me that somebody else who is going through this has such a successful franchise in a way, because each one pretty much has passed over 1 million views, which even to me I think is pretty crazy. And yet he's now saying, you know what? Yeah, no. A lot of people love this series, but because it didn't do as well as I wanted it to, I'm not going to continue it. I admit, that excuse, his excuse for it is simple. Basically saying he wanted to work on the project, but because it didn't bring in the view counts he was hoping, he wasn't able to continue the series. Now, if you don't know about this, like on JG Crafter, I used to upload reaction videos all the time, which now I upload them on JG Reactor to help cope with the situation, but whenever I would upload a reaction video, it would just blow up. And then all my gaming videos get ignored, and with reactions get thousands of views, and gaming only got about almost at most 50 or 60. And it really got me angry. And so I ended up coping with it by changing things around. First, I took a small break from making reaction videos. Then, to cope with it, I made a reaction channel, which has helped me cope with it quite well. I actually am having a lot more fun making reaction videos now, knowing they won't overshadow my gaming and other content that I release on my main channel. However, when Arbiter said, we were hoping each video would get over 4 million views at the minimum, and since it didn't pass that and we had to pay everyone, we couldn't just keep going with the series. We couldn't put it on delay. We have to, actually either make the series or not make the series. So instead of going through the extra effort to make a series that everyone who's watched it loves it, we're just gonna cancel it because it doesn't do as well as videos that have popular names. Compared to other series, Songs of War is probably the most creative, and just because it doesn't get people's interests, don't you think that might be due to the fact that the titles weren't grabbing enough, maybe? The names themselves, even I admit, the names for the episodes, the videos themselves, weren't that interesting to click on. So maybe, just maybe, If you found a way to work with it, make the names enticing enough, maybe, just maybe, people would really, really like it. However, every single one's just labeled as Songs of War, episode this, episode that. How is that supposed to pique people's interests? You think like Derp Race, that name sounds funny enough to be worth watching. Or Derp Infection also sounds like a fun thing worth watching. The reason those do well is because they also have enticing titles. I feel like I'm now just going from why I dislike the reason why he canceled it to why it may have failed. Because one of the many reasons it probably failed is because the names weren't enticing enough. Like, I didn't even watch the Songs of War trailer. So I was going into this completely blind. I did eventually go back and watch the Songs of War trailer, and I'm just gonna admit it, I thought it looked boring. That's why when I watched the first episode, I didn't have high hopes. But once I actually got into the series, it was really good. However, the way Arbiter sold it was supposed to be this mystical thing, it really didn't click. I'm just trying to put that out there. So maybe if he actually considered what would make people click on it, maybe it wouldn't have failed. And just the excuse itself, oh, because it didn't reach the view count. Most videos don't at the start. I had an entire roleplay series that when I released episodes, they wouldn't get more than maybe like 100 views per video. And now those videos that I release get hundreds of views. Something most of my videos don't get. So it takes time. You can't just expect everyone to fall into line after the first try. You have to keep pushing, and eventually people will think, maybe this would be worth checking out. Personally, I loved supporting Songs of War. That's why I even went through the effort to ignore what I mostly would do that day and react to the whole Songs of War movie in one sitting. My butt hurt like crazy afterwards. And they respond with, even though the movie did pretty well for what it was, with over 4 million views, and each episode close to either have passed 1 million views or close to 1 million, that's more than I'd ever be able to achieve. And you're complaining that because it didn't do as well as other series, because you didn't sell it as that, it doesn't belong in the Black Puzzle Studio archives. Think about it, dude. It's different. It was unique. It was a brand new idea. People weren't ready to accept that yet. And now, some people do, some people don't. It all matters on perspective. You're looking at this as if the entire thing is literally just a whole grab and go situation. If something fails, well, we can't try again. Even though this thing has a fan base and it is one of the most popular items when it comes to pure BPS fans, we're not going to continue it because, well, people who aren't subscribed won't watch it. You didn't even sell it as that. I was actually one of those people who thought Songs of War didn't look that interesting. I thought it was going to be bad. I thought it was going to be mediocre, and the characters didn't sound that interesting, and the whole story was going to be garbage. But you never even bothered to give people a chance to explain it by maybe making the whole thing look better when it came to how you portrayed it. You portrayed it as kind of boring, only slightly interesting, and really needed a lot of work. It didn't work, though. I'm sorry, but I just can't accept the fact with your response. Your anger that it didn't get enough views, maybe it wasn't due to the fact that it wasn't popular. Maybe it was due to the fact of how you branded it. It was very poorly done, and I'm just looking at the stats right now for Black Clover Studios channel, and sure, compared to other series, Songs of War doesn't really seem to get that many views, but have you seen some of the other titles? Like, Ocean Monuments are always something interesting to watch, even though I thought that animation on its own was very boring compared to other animations. And there's also some other examples of things that basically are only good because of their titles. Basically, Songs of War doesn't even pull off that because they're only labeling them as episodes. If you don't give it some kind of phenomenal title that really grabs people, no one will want to watch it. I'm sharing this through a perspective of somebody who makes content through episodes and series. What you're trying to portray here is really poorly done. This really isn't one of the many reasons it angers me that you canceled this series, because it didn't pass the view count. I was originally planning to make this just about how angry I was about it, but now I'm just planning to just share maybe the reason why. Maybe the reason why is that you didn't do it as well as you could have. You didn't try to portray this as a really intriguing series. It didn't grab people because when it came to it, it really wasn't that interesting to start. The first episode was 7 minutes or more of dialogue, which honestly, that really kind of bored me out of it for a bit. And just nothing about it was entirely enticing. There was nothing about this that made it feel like it was going to be good. Therefore, the only people who gave it a chance were true Black Plasma Studio fans. So, maybe the reason it failed wasn't because that it didn't do well because nobody wanted to watch it. Maybe it's because of how you sold it. You sold it as this kind of weird series through the trailer. And I don't know about others, but personally, I thought the trailer was kind of boring compared to other things. The series itself started off really boring. And while there were some episodes I really liked, a lot of them I really disliked too. So canceling it simply because you didn't market it well is basically saying it doesn't deserve it. The series is one of those miracle shows. Like something you don't think should work, especially with how it's sold and portrayed at the start, and yet it becomes so interesting. Truly, this was a great series. It had the potential to be as great as Animation Life, or one of those other zombie animations that you guys released a while back. But the way you sold it and the way it was portrayed made things awkward. Maybe changing up the animation to be a little bit different. A new type of rig that had a little more motion to it, or maybe something that really could have portrayed it better. Just this series itself looked boring at the start. You know what? I'm sorry for all this rambling. It's just this series grew to be a likable series because after a while it picked up. But the way it started truly needed a lot of work. So, Black Plasma Studios, if you ever see this, I'm gonna inform you that I really will miss this series. I wanted to see more. I would have loved to see more. However, I think the way you started it off, it was kind of poorly done. So that probably was a huge effect to why so many people stopped watching. And I'm sorry if I can't support it in any way at all. I'm not some rich guy who could give you all the money you need to make the series, but I wanted to support it. I was literally planning to do so much to support Songs of War. was even planning to release an impression video of every single character trying to impersonate them. But just there's nothing that truly made this series stand out at the start, so it wasn't that encapsulating. I'm sorry for rambling. Just this really could have been something great. I don't know who will rise up to the challenge of trying to create an animated series again. I know that Freddie Sal is trying, which I commend him for that, trying to do this. Just the whole aspect of animated Minecraft series are so new, and seeing one that finally had everything set in stone collapse just because the main person who runs it couldn't take the pressure, it really does make me angry. So I'm not trying to say, Arbiter, you're an idiot for stopping the series, but in general, I really do wish that the series didn't have to go. It was the only time any series had ever even finished a first season, and it truly looked like it was going to be something completely crazy, and I was really looking forward to the rest of the story. But all we got now is the scripts for the next 2 seasons, and I truly wish that everything could have turned out differently. I'm sorry if I sounded way too angry in this whole thing, and I do hope Black Plasma Studios continues to make awesome animations, but in general, now that Songs of War is gone, I have nothing to look forward to. The Alex and Steve series never really grabbed me as much as other series did, and as fun as it is to watch Alex and Steve, they didn't catch the entire essence of Songs of War. And I generally wished that this series was able to get off its feet, or get on its feet, and actually create something worth watching. It was a masterpiece in the making, but didn't have enough time nor strength to grow. I'm gonna miss Songs of War, but the only hope we have now is for future animators to create future voice-acted animated series, and for that, I'll keep an eye out. I'm JG Crafter. Thank you all for listening to my rambling. Please don't send hate to anybody, not Arbiter, not Black Plasma Studios, nobody. I love their work. I really wish Songs of War could have gone on for much longer, but sometimes life can be cruel. Thanks everyone for listening, and I shall see you all around. Peace.